Hello and welcome back to Mike Basquez Auto Shop. Today I'm going to be replacing the gaskets on these log style manifolds. If you noticed in a previous video, they were leaking water pretty bad, both sides. And that was because I did a terrible job of swapping them out the last time. As you can see, there's a lot going on there. 2 gaskets and a metal flange sandwiched between the two. I don't think I'm going to need all that. I'm going to take those nuts off and go to work on the surfaces. Clean both sides really good. Inspect the studs. And then I'm just going to use one gasket and Permatex make a gasket. That side will be easy to work on. All I'll have to do is take off those nuts and that over the transom pipe will come off, and I won't have to take the log portion off the motor. So that right there will stay on the motor. I won't have to mess with it. The other side's a different story. The whole pipe is going to have to come off because the alternator is in the way. So this side should go a lot smoother than the other side. Okay, as you can see, that's pretty messy. There's remnants of the old gasket, a lot of corrosion going on. So I'm going to bust out steel brush, some razor blades, and I'm going to get that cleaned up as best I can. I was going to replace all the studs, but the lower ones would not budge, and I was afraid they'd break. I was able to get this one off, and I inspected the threads. I just put some anti-seize on it, and I put it back in. And then I'm going to put a new bolt in that hole right there. So here's a few supplies that I need to clean those surfaces pretty good. I got some razor blades and a pack of brand new steel brushes. This should make things a lot easier. I'm also going to use some lacquer thinner. I got a few new fasteners, stainless steel fasteners, and I'm just going to go with one of the old gaskets that I previously used, which is probably a no-no, but I think we're going to be fine. Well, I cleaned the surfaces to the best of my ability. It's kind of hard to tell because of all the corrosion and rust. But I put a copious amount of Permatex make a gasket, and now I'm using, like I mentioned, the older gasket, but it's basically brand new. And I feel it's going to be okay. It'll get the job done. It came off in one piece. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. So now I'll put a little anti-seize on the studs. That hole on the upper left, I'm going to put a bolt in that hole, which I'll also put some anti-seize on. It'll be an Allen wrench bolt. Okay, this side's all buttoned up and ready to go. Everything went back together nice and smoothly. Some new hardware. There's a little excess Permatex make a gasket, but that's not a problem. I'm just going to have to hook up the water hose on this side, and this side will be done and back in business. Now on to the next side. This whole pipe's going to have to come off. Can't split it in half like the other side because the alternator is going to be in the way. So spark plug wires have to come out first. lay them out of the way. Then the water lines are going to have to come off. And then all those bolts just to get to those gaskets there. It's really tight on this side. The alternator is in the way, so I can't get to that lower bolt. Okay, I have the water lines off this side. There's 2 on this side, and then there's 1 more in the back. It's right on top of the battery, so I put a towel over the battery just in case there was an excessive amount of water that poured out from the last time I started up the boat, but it wasn't a problem. Just the angle of that line was really difficult to take off. So the water lines are off. The next thing is to remove the bolts to the manifold. I'm going to leave the forward bolt and the rear bolt on, and then have them just hand tight. So when I go to pull this off, because I'm going to do it by myself, it should be a lot easier. But I'm going to make sure I put a blanket on that furniture. I would hate to drop that pipe on that beautiful woodwork. Okay, I got the pipe off. Very smooth, no accidents. The gasket did break in a few spots, so I'll be using razor blades and some lacquer thinner to scrape the old gasket off and make that surface clean. I could go and detail this area with some aluminum polish. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, we'll see. More room to do it with the pipe off. So the pipe's off the boat, and I have it disassembled into 2 pieces now. And as you can see, got some issues with 2 of the studs. Threads were bad. So we're going to have to Healy coil those holes. And Napa has a real convenient Healy coil kit. Comes with a few Healy coils and the tools to fix. However, it's really sketchy. You have to drill that hole a little bigger, and with these vintage pipes, it's kind of stressful. But my buddy Tom, he's not my dad, but like Spicoli said, he's a TV repairman and has an excellent set of tools, so I trust this guy. So I'll make that hole a little bigger to make room for the Healy coil. But before you put the Healy coil in, you have to thread that hole. So you have to do it real slow to make sure those threads are nice and straight. This isn't his first rodeo, and he's helped me out before and a lot in the past, and so I trust him to work on these things.
it.
The Healy coils are now done and ready for 2 new studs. And I'll make sure I put anti-seize on those studs. But we're just checking to make sure that the studs go in real easy, and they do. So we'll do some final cleanup before we put both halves together. Okay, I'm just about ready to put these 2 halves together, but I hand polished them first with some Blue Magic. I didn't use a buffing wheel or anything. I just did it by hand, clean them up a little bit. Might as well do it now since they're off the boat. Makes it a little easier. Turned out pretty good compared to what they look like. Studs are back in with some anti-seize. Surfaces are clean, but again, corrosion and rust, it's kind of hard to tell. But I think we're in a lot better position than last time. Okay, so let's put these 2 halves back together. All right, we're back on the boat, and now we just need to install the header gasket. So I have it held on just by the rear bolt there. Got a nice gap so that gasket will slip in there real good. And then the forward bolt. Not even hand tight, just enough to hold that pipe onto the motor. So the gasket will just plop down in there. And now I can start installing all those bolts nice and evenly so we get a good seal. Okay, we are all back together. Pipe went on nice and smooth. A little excess. Make a gasket, but not a problem. Some new stainless steel fasteners. Spark plug wires are all back in. Water lines on. Looks nice and good. So hopefully this video will be how to properly install manifold gaskets on your old school vintage log manifolds.